bring the City of Spartanburg City Council meeting to order. We're going to have a moment of silence, and as we stand for a moment of silence, remember the Cunningham family. Mr. Miller Cunningham passed away this morning, and Miller Cunningham, yeah, 92 years old, educator here, local, big loss for the city. So let's keep his family in prayer and our thoughts. Amen. Mayor Pro Tem, would you lead us in the pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. We have item 3, approval of the minutes of the May 27th, 2025 City Council meeting.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any that oppose? Ayes have it. Item 4, approval of the agenda for the June 9th, 2025 City Council meeting.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any that oppose? Ayes have it. Public comment. We have a public comment from Mr. Hawkins III. So when you come up, please give us your name, address, and you have 2 minutes to talk about your subject matter.
Hello, y'all. My name is Liv Hawkins. I'm currently at 230 College Street. Today I came before you to just share some of the findings of a project that I did for my Master's of Education on walkability among our college student population. So with this project, I really wanted to get an understanding of how our students currently get around our city and how they view the state of our current infrastructure. What I found is a lot of our students don't know about our bike lanes. They don't know about our trail connections. Maybe I had 1 or 2 students that knew anything about the River Birch. I think it's kind of hidden over there where it is. And what I got through this project was students wanting more robust public transportation options. I saw a lot of students mentioning art or exhibitions on trails and history trails. I also had students mentioning that if they saw more people out walking and biking and opportunities for it, that they would feel more comfortable taking part themselves. So I'm hoping that with all of this to be able to cause that change. So I just want to come before you, mention this survey. If you want to talk to me further or reach out, I'm on Instagram as @thewalkingspartan. My Substack is also theWalkingSpartan.substack.com. And on that blog, there's a more robust summary of these findings. And you can read some actual quotes that I pulled from the survey, full quotes in context of what our college students had to say about this topic. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm sure some of the council members will be contacting you to find out more information. Thanks a lot. That's it for our public comments. We have a presentation, item 6, Spartanburg Collective Plan for Behavioral and Mental Health. Presenter.
I'm just going to make a very brief introduction. We look for one of our values as a city team is to be at the table of collaboration and to encourage efforts to deal with, to do what the evidence suggests is necessary on some of the systemic challenges we face as a broader community. And so tonight we wanted you to get an update on one of those issues. By no means is the city team leading this effort. We are cheering for it. And want to be one of many collaborative partners in making it happen. And that's the Collective Plan for Behavioral Mental Health for Spartanburg County. Lucy Willems is with Spartanburg Regional Foundation, and she's going to tell us a little bit about that.
Great, thank you so much for having me. I'm really glad to be here tonight. So, as you know, Spartanburg has a long history of of caring about behavioral mental health in our community. We have many champions. And so what this plan represents really is the culmination of all of those efforts. Our community has been working over the last 18 months to pull together what we feel like are the most important issues and where we could really make the most impact when it comes to mental and behavioral health. And so this plan really represents the voices of over 75 community leaders in our community who are passionate about creating change in our community in mental health. I think it's important to know that this plan really is rooted in Spartanburg's existing strengths, and it builds on a lot of key work that's already underway, and it takes a very collaborative and collective approach to prevention, using a cross-sector and a data-driven approach to population health. Our goal really is to measurably change the mental and behavioral health outcomes of residents in Spartanburg, but we also have the opportunity to really serve as a national exemplar and be a model of how to do this work cross-sector. When we were working with our consultants, we asked, who really is doing this work well? And people were able to find examples of schools who are doing this work really well, or healthcare systems, or community-based organizations, but there really wasn't an example of anyone who was able to pull all those pieces together. And of course, Spartanburg really is really positioned and ready to do that work. So we were asking our stakeholders really what the major challenges were. This was the data that really rose to the top. We're seeing that parents and youth are experiencing persistent sadness. There are far too high rates of overdose incidents, overdose deaths, and approximately 5,000 mental and behavioral health related visits to the emergency center every year, many of which could be preventable crises. And of course, since we really had the voices of our community leaders at the table, we're hearing that vulnerable populations, such as the homeless population, those who are uninsured or underinsured, really are the ones who are suffering more acutely from these issues. We also know that mental and behavioral health impacts economic well-being and is related to, as we know, persistence of students and motivation in attaining graduation, and contributes to lost productivity and absenteeism. So we know that's a correlated occurrence. So now that we know the challenges, we really want to look at the opportunities. What do we have in our community that would really prepare us to meet this challenge? And of course, we have a lot of resources and things to champion in our community. We see that we have a strong health system of healthcare at the table. We have more than 70 community-based providers who are willing to work on this together. Of course, the Spartanburg Area Mental Health Center and the Forrester Center are there at the table willing to work with us. We have a long track record of working on this issue. We have the Mental and Behavioral Health Task Force, which has been working together for over 10 years. And we also have community-led committees focused on community health improvement. Lots of advisory councils are already in place. In terms of funding, we do have funding streams that are already in place with the South Carolina Opioid Recovery Fund coming in, and we have alignment with the South Carolina Master Mental Behavioral Health Plan. And we also have a track record of success. Most notably, our community coming together to really address and reduce rates of teen pregnancy, and our Movement 2030, which is ongoing. So, looking at the challenges, looking at our assets, really what we decided that the time really is now. It's going to be a lot of hard work, but really we are well positioned to go ahead and move together, and we are, really the time is now. So I wanted to go over some of the guiding principles of this plan so that you kind of know what's in it and how we came to these strategies. Really, we're focusing on emphasizing prevention and upstream interventions. Of course, we'll be looking at crises as they occur, but we really want to ensure that we're looking at and being able to prevent the crises of tomorrow. We're focusing where there's momentum. Do we already have things that are going on in our community? How can we make sure we're building on what works and looking for those opportunities for long-term sustainability? We're especially interested in supporting residents where they are, not making it harder for them to access mental health care, but really making it easier for them to access care at their primary health provider or in a satellite place. Really looking at those, addressing those critical gaps in care. And then, of course, maintaining connectivity to all the other initiatives that are going on locally. So from those guiding priority principles, we looked at the 3 priority areas we wanted to focus on. The first priority really is supporting thriving youth and families by focusing on mental well-being and connections to support. The second priority area is supporting those with serious mental illness with a focus on the most vulnerable populations. And third is to support individuals and families impacted by substance use disorder. And in those priority areas, I won't read them to you, but we have selected very specific outcomes that we'd like to see achieved by 2030. Okay, the next slide's a doozy, but just know that throughout all of these strategies, we're really looking at the continuum of awareness prevention, early treatment intervention, and then crisis and recovery in each one of those three categories. And at the bottom, you'll also see that we have cross-cutting enablers to make sure that we're launching a community-wide awareness and stigma reduction campaign. And we're building on data sharing infrastructure and connecting with the work that's already underway. So in terms of costs, here is our projected price tag. For this work, we are estimating it will cost $40 million over 5 years. And this is a catalytic funding plan. And so we'll be looking for investors to raise $25 million up front with a projected long-term funding plan of $15 million moving forward. And we are right here at the beginning of implementation. We have just gotten this plan wrapped up. And so our first steps really are to launch this community-facing plan. We're still coming up with a name for it. And so getting our communication together and talking about the plan, what we're doing. We are securing funding. So going to different investors and asking them for an investment in the catalytic part of the funding. Setting up our governance structures. We have a steering committee and we have our 3 implementation groups. Our implementation groups are the ones who are really going to be in the weeds of how the plans go and how the timelines go and how their funding goes, and so kind of guiding them through their first steps. And some of our first projects will be a crisis stabilization study for a serious mental illness and looking to secure commitments across the school districts for a youth mental health survey and universal screeners. Throughout year 1, we'll be focusing on kind of setting up our pilots, and year 3, evaluating our pilots, and then year 5, looking at our long-term outcomes. So that is an interview of the mental and behavioral health plan. We're really excited. We have a lot of momentum in this plan, and we really feel like this is our time to move. And so we're very excited to have your continued support.
Definitely. Any questions, Councilwoman Smith?
Thank you, Lucy, for being here. I was one of the 75 community members that was involved in putting this plan together. And sometimes when we hear these real high-level discussions, it's hard to know exactly where we fit in. And as you were talking, we get the police reports sent to us every day. And there were 2 in particular that I thought of that this could address. There was a woman who overdosed in the dressing room at TJ Maxx, a place where I get a lot of my clothes.
Right.
And then there was a mother who needs support, who dropped her 4-year-old off at her ex-boyfriend's house because that was the best place she could, and she couldn't be found. So there are real people in our city that are hurting, that need support, and we have great work that's going on, but I think this plan and the funding behind it is going to really be able to bring some of those together to make sure that all of our residents have the supports that they need to thrive as youth. There was a runaway youth off of Wofford Street. If they can be identified earlier on within their school system, given access to more care, our police aren't having to spend their efforts on tracking down youth because they're going to have more access to safe and supportive adults. So thank you for that. Maybe just one question as we think specifically about the city, maybe just for the good of everybody, can you tell us some of the other folks or city entities, organizations that were, particularly city government, like I know Mitch was involved, our police were involved. Maybe just give everybody a heads up on how we as a city have been involved in this.
I would think, mostly with the law enforcement, and then with any interaction with folks who are using the EC. I would say also part of our plan really is to provide some specific training for our first responders, our EMS, so that as they respond to crises, they know how to and where to divert people appropriately, and to minimize really the use of law enforcement when possible. In terms of the planning process, I'm not sure exactly who was involved, but perhaps they can identify themselves.
I know Mitch was there. He was on the steering team with me.
Early.
Right.
Yeah.
And the EC is the emergency room.
That's the emergency center, yeah.
Yeah. Any other comments?
Mr. Mayor, Lucy, thanks for that presentation, and the work that you and your team are doing is very important for our community. I was particularly interested, well, there were a lot of slides that were interesting, and some of them were confusing, or dizzying. But the funding plan, I mean, I know you had it broken into different buckets. That $40 million, I mean, that's an ambitious number.
Sure is.
You know, and I know, I mean, obviously it's public grants, reimbursements, you know, private dollars. I mean, are you all confident that the $40 million is attainable? And is that budget specifically based on the outcomes that you're, you know, attempting to achieve?
It is. We do feel like it's an attainable number. Luckily, we have some experts who have worked with Movement 2030 who are, you know, providing their expertise in how to secure catalytic funding. I think there are dollars here that are being reserved for this work, and we're going to use the dollars we reserve here locally to ask other national funders to invest in ours, to leverage those dollars. And so through our initial kind of look at this, we do feel like it is possible, it is achievable. So yeah, we are confident we'll be able to raise it.
Councilwoman Ludejohn.
Yes, Lucy, I'm going to call you Lucy. I was going to say Miss Williams, but you said Lucy. I worked in a school once, underprivileged, and there were kids there that were poor. And because the kids were poor and they were slow learners, because sometimes they were branded as mental illness. And I am wondering now, how do you all really determine the ones that are mentally ill and the ones that are not? Because I do believe that the system, because sometimes, well, it's not really good always, you know, to kids that are poor. And so I'm wondering, how do you really measure to know if the kids are mentally ill all the time?
I'm not an expert in that information, but what I do know that in the schools with the MTSS universal screeners, with the tiered systems of support, all of our children hopefully will be receiving the same screener. And it would identify as the children who are struggling with social emotional learning, with their skills. Do they have their basic needs met? And so whether they're labeled with a mental health condition or not, we will know that they are the children who need additional supports.
And that's key when you look at District 6 and District 7 being a part of this program, that you can identify all students, all kids.
Yes.
With.
So for the tiered system, Tier 1 has universal support, so we recognize that everyone needs help with their mental health. So that's everyone needs to learn how to communicate, everyone needs to learn how to express themselves and feel cared for. Tier 2 is really the students who might need a little extra support. They might need a group therapy class, or they might need some additional supports from a counselor. Tier 3 are really the ones who are going to need clinical support, who might end up using the cafe or having a need for crisis stabilization. And so having that screener in place and screening systems that are regularly occurring does help our school system identify those students who are going to need the highest level of support, while also ensuring that everyone is getting support.
Thank you.
And the school system, definitely, speaking of that, have mental health counselors available as well when kids may go through a crisis. So, but Lucy, thank you for the information. As you stated in the PowerPoint presentation, you know, we're gonna build off of what Spartanburg does best, and that's the collaboration amongst the different agencies involved. So thank you, and thank you to everyone that's involved with the program. Thanks. Item 7, ordinance. An ordinance to provide the adoption of the city operating budget. its execution and effect of the fiscal period from July 1st, 2025 through June 30th, 2026. Second reading. Mr. Story's up.
Mr. Mayor, members of council, as you know, ordinance A and B
Right.
are complementary. They are two parts of the same action to implement the spending plan for next year. The ordinance titles are the same that we have utilized for decades. But I believe that the wording of item B has confused one or two folks. So I'll start this budget discussion by saying there is no proposed tax or fee increase in the budget this year.
Now, you said what, Mr. Story?
Said there is no proposed tax increase reflected in this budget.
There is no tax?
Right.
Okay.
Yes, sir. I want to be clear about that. The phrase "to raise revenues for the city of Spartanburg for the fiscal year" is taken directly from state code, but that does not mean that the tax rate is being raised. It will be the same tax rate that is currently in effect. And also, none of our uniform household fees or anything of that nature is being increased. So I wanted to clarify that because there has been a little bit of chatter, I think, related primarily to the ordinance title that has caused some concern. Secondly, I will recap that all of the numbers in the document are the same as were included at first reading. We have inserted some additional information. Those two pieces of additional information that were added were the actual schedule of individual organizational grants as recommended from the Hospitality Tax Discretionary Grant Committee. So that was not in the document at first reading. The total was, but the individual line items are now included in the document. Secondly, in the Accommodations Tax Fund, which has authorized by statute a committee that performs a similar function, their recommendations are reflected on those schedules. And so again, those don't change the overall numbers. It just provides a little additional detail. And then also we updated the ordinance language very slightly to reflect the terminology we used in some of the stadium bond documents about the stadium financing. Again, doesn't change any of the math, just made sure that we were following all of that, dotting i's and crossing t's associated with the previously approved stadium financing plan. So certainly welcome any questions about any aspects, and Dennis is here to backstop me on any tough questions. But again, no substantive change from first reading. We are recommending your approval on second and final reading. The budget would take effect July 1.
Councilman Foreman.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, thank you. Chris, you have repeated a number of times that this proposed budget does not increase revenues on any taxes or fees inside the city. But I know I asked this question last week or last meeting, but I also want to reiterate this question tonight, so when we last reassessed and reappraised properties, the budget that we approved last year included a rollback in our millage rate so that we lessened the impact on the reassessment to the taxpayers in the city of Spartanburg. Is that correct?
That's correct. As property values went up across the city over the last decades, as they have generally historically gone up over time, then we followed the state formulas as best we could with the data we had to make a proportional rollback of reduction in our millage rate. And we'll do that every 5 years in keeping with the reappraisal process.
And that is an estimated process that is never certain until we at least get 1 year of experience. And I believe you told me at our last meeting that you were comfortable with the rollback that we approved was specific and proportionate to what the state expectation was.
Yes, sir, that's correct. And overall, the general fund revenues collectively are growing just under 5% as a whole across the general fund. And I think if you look at this growing community and all of the new assets that have been brought online, that is both consistent with the math and the formula, but also consistent with what we would expect given our growing situation.
And we're starting to see increases in revenue resulting from many of the economic development projects that we have approved over the last 20, 25 years as they mature out of those development agreements. Is that correct?
That's right. And a number of the ones that we have authorized in recent years have ramp-up provisions. The benefit to the general fund budget increases from 1 year to the next on those particular deals that have been part of those incentive agreements.
And those deals have been a catalyst for the growth that we've experienced both in downtown and throughout our city. And those development agreements were tied to, in many cases, assets that were either not contributing at a high level to the tax base or not contributing at all.
Absolutely, and that's been the benefit. And I think one of the reasons why we can be confident that strategy of targeting certain areas, particularly the downtown, but in other places as well, for certain projects that we believe are catalytic. One of the ways we know that's bearing fruit is the aspect of our budget that is growing the fastest is that which is tied to business activity. So the amount of commerce that's taking place in the city is growing faster than the property tax base, which is really a healthy thing.
And one last question, sorry. Outside of the stadium financing and the complexities related to that in any budget going forward, this is largely a status quo budget?
That's correct. There are a couple of areas where we're increasing operating costs related to activities and inflationary types of things, you know, that as we get busier as a community. But it's the same basket of services that we provided last year, we intend to provide this year. We hope we don't experience a hurricane and once in a generation type storm, but in terms of the package of services and the way we pay for them, it is largely unchanged.
Questions? Entertain a motion.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion that we approve Ordinance A to provide for the adoption of the city budget for the 2025-2026 calendar or fiscal year.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any that oppose? Ayes have it. We'll go ahead and go right into B. Recommend a motion. Now, I'm sure we explained that unless someone has a question about B. Recommend a motion for B.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion we approve item B of the ordinance to raise revenues for the city Spartanburg for the fiscal year 2025-2026 to levy taxes not raised.
You
Second.
want to say it one more time? No. Thank you. All in favor? Aye. Any that oppose? Ayes have it. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Story. Item A, we have staff updates.
Yes, sir. I will be brief tonight. It is a busy time in the life of the city, and I know that you and the council members will have additional comments related to the exciting events that are happening around us. including an important celebration this Saturday that we're all excited about, and a slate of events associated with Juneteenth that I think will be fun and informative and positive for this community. With all of those things happening, I want to thank our Parks, Recreation, and Special Events team. Not only are they supporting the new ballpark this year, they've continued to enhance the other event offerings, and they've put together a great slate of activities over the next 5 weeks to include the July 4th celebration, Red, White, Boom, and the Juneteenth celebrations, and the celebration of the Cultural Wall on Saturday. So we're really excited and appreciative of all their work. And I just wanted to thank them, and also want to thank the team that put together that supported the Cultural Wall project from its inception. Lots of good folks there, and I'm sure you'll have comments along those lines as well. Certainly welcome any questions that council may have about any topics.
Yes, Chris, would you update us, please, on the Pepsi plant?
The former Pepsi facility on South Church Street, we had, I guess it was about 3 years ago, entered into a development agreement with the then owner of that property to bring about what was aimed to be a job creation project that would have involved demolition of that site and construction of a light manufacturing operation. As I think has been previously discussed, that project is not advancing, and so the property owner has sold that property, and we don't have information about the timeline or any specific plans for the new owner. Obviously, anything that happens there will have to comport with our land use regulations and building codes and the like, but we don't know what might happen when, and there's a new owner of that property.
But Chris, nothing in the development agreement that we agreed on with the previous owner transfers to the new ownership group. So there will be an entirely new conversation as it relates to any adaptive reuse or demolition on that property.
Yes, sir. Those rights and privileges were specific to that deal, and that deal is not advancing. So if and when that conversation emerges, it'll be brand new discussion for the community and the council to consider.
Thank you.
Just have one.
Councilwoman Sally.
Chris,
Yes, ma'am.
could you kind of update us on Robert Smalls and the North Bridge?
We continue to work with the management and ownership of Robert Smalls to ensure progress on any of the physical issues on the property and to enhance safety. They're working with a strengthened partnership with our police department. We are also actively trying to get a better, or not a better, but a redevelopment strategy for the Norris Ridge site. As you know, that site is privately owned. Our intent is to see the vacant structures that are there on the property demolished and the site completely redeveloped with some residential development that aligns with the Highland Transformation Plan. We consider that to be our North Star in terms of evaluating the possibilities for that, and don't have a definitive timeline or specific scenario to put in front of you or the community yet at this point, but there's active work going on, and I'm more optimistic than I have been in the last several months that we'll have a good outcome there.
Good.
Mr. Mayor.
Yes.
Chris, I've asked this question several times, and your confidence doesn't assuage my anxiety, but for anyone who follows the national discussion and everything. FEMA is not in a great spot. The number of states that have been denied help, Asheville was denied an extension, the director was fired, you know, their workforce was riffed. Are you still confident? Are we still on track to be reimbursed for all of our Helene expenses?
We are, and we've, in the immediate aftermath of the storm, Dennis and several other city team members engaged teams of third-party professionals to help us make sure we were packaging all our needs and concerns to FEMA in the best possible way. And we've had a regular cadence of interaction with the FEMA staff. We're working in partnership with the state and with the county, and we've seen no red flags or caution flags, and we've provided them all the rigorous detail that that they have sought, and all signs point to all qualifying costs being reimbursed.
Do we have any idea of when that reimbursement should come?
We're having a face-to-face meeting tomorrow with officials from FEMA. I can update Chris Moore.
Great.
A meeting tomorrow morning. As Chris said, as far as we know, everything is on track. We've been gathering the cost of documentation that they've asked for. So we will both know more tomorrow.
Great, thank you.
Good. Yes.
Chris, kind of piggybacking on the Pepsi plant, but the same owner of that property had owned what we had agreed with as far as the Main Street project. Has there been any movement with those properties that you're aware of?
There is active discussion of the next evolution of that concept. The first concept, I don't think that was multiple towers. I don't think that's advancing in the form, but there is another plan that we believe would be complementary and positive for the downtown that is in the works, but nothing that is ready for action or formal consideration. Just there's active interest in that site, and folks understand its importance to Main Street and its importance to the heart of downtown and its potential. So I think we'll see something positive there.
Would that be under new ownership, or continue to try to have conversations with the current owner about making some tweaks?
That would
something that might work.
My understanding is there'd definitely be new partners involved, so I believe that's what we'd be looking at.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Story. That's all the question for staff updates. Councilwoman Smith, we're going to lead off with you with council updates.
All right. Good to see some new faces in the crowd today, so thank you all for being here. Thank you, Liv, for your comments. Our universities, we're so blessed to have so many in town, and there's been a lot of really interesting research projects that classes have done on our city, including yours, Liv. I didn't know that you had done that, but one that I got to sit in on at a USC Upstate was a class, a sociology class, who their entire project was looking at the resolution that we passed 5 years ago. After George Floyd's murder, we're almost coming up on the 5-year anniversary of that, and they were looking at how far have we really come as a city, what recommendations could they make, and I'd love for them to come and do a presentation. It was really fascinating to hear in the eyes of 19, 20-year-olds how much they think that we have grown or lived by those values and how much more we can do. And one thing that I heard this past week that Richland County passed, which the first county in the entire state, is a hate crimes ordinance. South Carolina is one of 2 states in the entire nation, us and Wisconsin, that do not have a statewide hate crime ordinance. For years, it has died at our state house, but many municipalities across the state and now finally a county have been able to pass it. And I believe that something along those lines are very much in line with that resolution that we passed. And I would love for us to have some of those conversations coming up on the 5th year anniversary. And as we see some of, what's happening nationally with hate speech and hate crime and hate graffiti, all of that. So I'd love for us as a city to be prepared and to put a flag in the ground when it comes to those type of things. And happy Father's Day to the two of you up here. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilwoman Littlejohn.
Thank you. Again, I want to say the same thing that you said. I am looking out there and I see mostly all new faces that are sitting in the audience, and that's a good thing. Thank you all for being here. I also want to extend my sympathy to the family of Councilman Melvin Fowler from Inman.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mayor.
Oh, that's it? I was depending on you to tell everybody where we've been the last couple of weeks. Councilwoman Sally.
Thank you, Mayor. I want to say thank you all for coming, and yes, in agreement with Councilwoman Smith and Councilwoman Littlejohn, welcome. Glad to see you here with us. I want to throw it out. I hope the mayor don't get upset with me, but we got a lot of things planned for this week, and I think it started today. No, it starts Monday, right? No?
See, you don't need
Thursday. Oh, it's so much to...
I got it right here in front of me, but go ahead.
But I want to let you know that next Saturday is the Juneteenth parade. So put that on your calendar.
Juneteenth parade is the 21st.
The
Just
21st.
So, yes.
21st, which is the next Saturday.
Okay.
Right. Okay. I attend-
Jubilee parade.
Jubilee Parade. I attended the Riverbush Trail sewer line art, and if you haven't been out there, it's beautiful. And I suggest you take a walk on the trail and take in the artwork. And they're also looking forward for other artists to come out to finish the sewer line. Condolences to the Cunningham and to the Fowler family for their loss. Thank you.
Councilman Farmer.
Mr. Mayor, thank you. Again, thank everybody for coming tonight. I hope you brought your umbrellas. Sounds like it's quite a rain out there. Also, I'd like to say thank you to the team that worked on our cultural monument that's going to be unveiled later this week. I look forward to being there and connecting with some old friends who are part of that that recognition. Very richly deserved. And it's thinking about our growing tax base in the city. I had the opportunity to, like the mayor, to attend the grand opening of the Flying Biscuit Cafe, which is downtown Spartanburg's newest restaurant offering. Unlike the mayor, I spent my lunch money there and took my wife on a date, and we had a lovely lunch. So I encourage you to stop by and see what it's all about.
Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem.
Mr. Mayor, thank you all for being here. Yeah, I see a lot of new faces. I also see a returning face, Mr. Don Bramlett. We have not seen you in a while. I hope you're feeling much better. You look great. Good to see you. Looking forward to all the Juneteenth events. The Mayor's Walk this Saturday. Jamie will be leading the charge on that walk. And then from there, we'll go to the monument. I still gonna have to run home and shower though, I'm sorry. So looking forward to all of that. I want to congratulate, going back to my alma mater, Wofford College, Brand Stilley on his upcoming retirement of 39 years as the VP of enrollment. Brand was one of the first person that greeted me on campus when I first came to visit Wofford, and I, was received warmly, and he was so good. He's just been so great for that school. So we're gonna miss him, but I hope he enjoys, a very eventful retirement. I know that he and his wife, Laura Stilley, who also served on council with us, travel a good bit. They have 2 kids in college, and so I'm looking forward to seeing him around town more, and probably still on campus as well. So And then last but not least, I would like to wish a happy birthday to retired Chief Warrant Officer 3, Robin Brown. Mom, if you're watching, love you very much. Hope you've had a great day. Love your favorite kid. Thank you.
Happy birthday, Mom. As a lot was stated here, I do want to recognize that we do have a lot of faces in the audience. Thank you guys for coming and being a part of the city of Spartanburg. I mean, you guys are truly a part of what goes on every day here. The CHAD event, which was held Saturday, Community Health Awareness Day, outstanding event, which kicked off around 8 o'clock on Saturday and finished up around 1. Quite a few of us, Councilwoman Littlejohn, Smith, I did see them there, and I may have missed the others because I left out a little early. But an outstanding event that goes on yearly, and we look forward to planning again next year. If you haven't had the opportunity to see the Tiger Sharks swimming, that's the city's swim team. They will have a meet tomorrow at 6 o'clock at Dr. T.K. Gregg. I do plan to be there. Just an awesome opportunity for our young people to be a part of a swim team. The class, Liv, thank you for that information. I've also been a part of the Walford study, some of their classes and what they have seen from the north side of town as well. So thank to our young people that are making this a part of their educational journey. Flying Biscuit, outstanding event. Thank you to the Atchisons for, putting another stake in their brand downtown Spartanburg. Talk a little bit about Juneteenth. Oh, and the celebration, the BMW Charity Pro-Am. It was kicked off with the concert at Fifth Third Park. Christy Lindsay had an outstanding evening. Her and her son Hunter, ate as much as they wanted to, but no. But it was an outstanding event headed up by Cole Swindell. Also, I had the opportunity to go to the country club for the golf tournament, outstanding as well over in Thornblade as well. So, Tiger Shark. What do I have first? We will have Music on Main again this coming Thursday, but Saturday we will start at 8 o'clock with Miles with the Mayor. It's just a short walk down the Greenway back up. And then the Cultural Monument unveiling will start at 10 o'clock a.m. Juneteenth, focus on freedom. Cecil Williams will be speaking on the 16th at Wofford College. Black Market Tuesday on the 17th, 5 o'clock p.m. at Monarch Cafe. The Race Seminar, June the 18th at Macedonia's Baptist Church. The Rhythm and Freedom Music on Main will be the 19th. The Block Party will be on the 20th, that Friday, along with the Beck Gala, Black Excellence Freedom Gala, and our very own Kathy Hill will be recognized as an unsung hero. Jubilee Parade is on the 21st. The 21st also, there will be a celebration festival at Burnett Park from 4 to 10. The Jubilee Workshop will be at Macedonia on June 22nd. Baptist Church, 3 o'clock p.m. in the city. That's Music on Main again. And it's just a lot of event. As you can see, I'm scrolling through my iPad, go to the city's website, and you can pull up all that information. We have a robust Juneteenth celebration here because, again, everyone is important to us here in the city of Spartanburg. So thank you all for coming out this evening. I entertain a motion.
Make a motion, we go into executive session.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any that oppose? Ayes have it. Thank you all for being here this evening. I put that pepper in
Sounds
my
like
mouth.
it's not raining. Run.
Yeah.
Oh, my poor dog is outside. I didn't